Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're out here in the wilderness, the mighty nature scene for that one heavy-duty wilderness engaging vehicle from Toyota. This is it. This is a 2022 Toyota 4runner TRD Pro, but guess what? We got the new color for 2022. It's called Lime Rush. But before we get into this bright colored TRD vehicle, let's talk about what's going on here. The 4runner. That vehicle has been in Toyota's lineup for years, and guess what? As of recent memory, has not gone through a ton of changes, but that may not be a bad thing. Now, when you're looking at this off-roading SUV segment, of course there's a lot of competition. Some people are pretenders, and some people are actually contenders. Now, one thing that we're seeing, especially when it comes from the Ford brand, is the return of the mighty Bronco name. Now, there's many different ways to get your Bronco. Compared to this 4runner TRD Pro, this is the way to get it. This is the only way to get it. But when we talk about the Bronco, there's lots of ways to option. But what I want to do is, I want to kind of put the Bronco up against this 4runner TRD Pro. We've driven both. The one that we're going to focus on, even though there's a ton of different Bronco trims, we're going to focus on the Wild Track because there's a lot of similarities of what you get between the two. So what I want to find out is, as we are waiting, as we are hoping, as we are praying for an updated redesigned 4runner to appear, is it worth going with this tried and true platform of the TRD Pro over the newcomer, very popular newcomer, the Bronco Wild Track Edition? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our Lime Rush and find out. Right off the bat, the color. If you want to be seen, this is the color to be seen. Toyota actually tested, they used the Hubble Space Telescope and they reversed it in its trajectory. You could see this vehicle from space. So right now, to the astronauts in the space station, I'm waving to them, but let's focus on Earth, terra firma here. Right at the front of the business, you're gonna see the familiar face. So if you're thinking that you're gonna see a bunch of new stuff, you're not. But like I said, is that really a bad thing? Up front, you do have that larger style of headlight housing. If you're comparing this to the front headlights on a Bronco, obviously the Bronco have a more contemporary, modern look. You are getting, of course, that LED projector beam headlight. And then as you work your way down, you do have LED fog lamps. The one thing I'm gonna have to zonk are the amount of fake vents. Not only fake vents on the corner, but there's another biggie, which I'm gonna point out in a second. It would have been great to make this a functional air curtain. Other brands do it, it would work perfectly here. Now, as we come all the way down, I'm gonna do a little knock knock. Knock knock, who's there? You actually have aluminum TRD plating underneath the belly of this beast to protect those inner bits. And it's really cool because it's got the TRD letters in bright red, Toyota Racing Development, and you're getting that physical protection. And I just hurt my knuckles. That's how tough that skid plate is. Now, coming across the center section, you're gonna get the Toyota Heritage badge. A lot of people say, ooh, I like the way that badge looks. It looks phenomenal. And if you look at vehicles from the past, this is how it was. You had the Toyota name spelled out there. I like the way they went with a flat gunmetal metallic gray. Everything is flat black and functional. Of course, we're gonna get a forward-facing camera. And if you're wondering, why is it on this thing that looks like a nipple? It's here because of bringing it out so that you get a clear enough view of what is underneath you in front. This is so important for any off-road vehicle. Now, working your way down, you do get a bunch of flat black, which is good because this is gonna take a better beating than if it was all painted this Lime Rush color. 9.6 inches of ground clearance. Now, if you're comparing that to the Wild Track has over 10 inches, almost 11 inches of ground clearance. So more ground clearance on the Wild Track, but still, like I said, such a front end that stands out in a very good way. Now, when we get up on the hood, that's the other big zonk. Sexy bulge, sexy hood scoop is just not functional. Would have been great to see a little bit of functionality, even to just channel some air through the engine compartment to keep the temps down would have been phenomenal. Now, as we come around the bend, just like on the Wild Track, getting different wheels, you get different wheels on the 4Runner TRD Pro. These are those forged BBS wheels. These are 17 inches in diameter, 265 on the width, 70 series sidewall. You can see we got those Nito Terra grapplers. So just like the Gracie family grappling on the ring floor, you're gonna grapple that terrain just with the best of them. And that's really the proof is in the pudding with this TRD Pro. But I love the nice satin black, the bright TRD badge. We got 13.6-inch rotors up front. And then I'm gonna have Lori zoom in and show the upper suspension control arm. And if you see that bright red, those are TRD specific springs on this 4Runner TRD Pro. Now, if we're looking at the Wild Track actually has B-lock wheels. So that's more of an off-road durable wheel, having those B-lock wheels. You also get 35-inch tires with the Sasquatch package, and you get Bilstein dampers all four corners, which that's an amazing company that builds shock absorbers. So a little bit difference between the two, but this is how Toyota's getting it done. Working our way down, I love the flared fender, nicely painted all the way around with the fender opening. You are gonna get color matched on the mirror caps. You'll see just how much ground clearance there is underneath the vehicle here. In the center, no floorboards or any of that garbage to get caught on any branches or logs. Color matched on the door handles, TRD Pros. Get this amazing cargo carrier. So nice tubular steel up top. You can put all sorts of things. And look at how this thing just, you can see that suspension work there. Amazing technology from their off-road package. Blacked out on the badges, TRD Pro. This thing makes me want to drink a Mountain Dew. It looks like a Mountain Dew. I'm gonna call this mellow yellow, but technically it's called Lime Rush. Coming around the back, what do we got? Same taillights. You got those old-fashioned bulbs in there for your turn signals, but they work. They're cheap to change. That's a good plus. I do like the roof spoiler. You can see the tubular frame of that cargo carrier up there. And then one thing I wish they would have done is a Zonk. Why do we have chrome? This is the only place we have chrome. Black badges. Should be black 4Runner, black Toyota. You see these buttons here? Bronco can't do this. You can actually raise and lower the rear glass. That's really nice when you're just trying to get those things quick and easy for your camping trip. TRD Pro in black. We got some black trim along the bumper so that your kids don't scratch the heck out of this beautiful paint job. And then working our way down, we got some flat black. You got your tow hookup. And then I'm gonna have Lori kind of circle back around because to finish it off, we have a TRD catback exhaust slash cut with that gloss black tip. Wait until you hear the sound of this thing. But why don't we go ahead, let's open up the hood and see what's powering our 4Runner. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have hydraulic hood struts. Underneath the hood is that very unique engine cover. You actually have 6 cup holders. While you're cleaning all the mud from your off-roading, all the rocks and debris, you got 6 cup holders. No, just joking. That's the design of the engine cover. Nothing too crazy, but what is underneath that engine cover? That's that 3-liter tried and true bulletproof V6. 270 horsepower, 278 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a 5-speed automatic transmission. Let's compare it to the Bronco. The Bronco Wild Track comes standard with the 2.7-liter twin-turbo V6, which pumps out 330 horsepower and over 400 pound-feet of torque, and it's mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Going back to the 4Runner here, 0 to 60 in about 7.7 seconds. 0 to 60 in a Wild Track, you're looking at about 5.9 seconds. MPGs, just go ahead and plug your ears. You're not gonna wanna hear this. You're looking at 16 in the city, 19 on the highway. To be honest with you, the Bronco isn't much better. 17 in the city, 17 on the highway. Top speed in this 4Runner is 113 miles an hour, and it weighs 4,800 pounds. The great news is you could tow up to 5,000 pounds, which is actually more than the Bronco with this setup in our 4Runner TRD Pro. But you know what? Let's fire this thing up and hear the mellow yellow tunes out of that TRD catback exhaust. All right, guys, come in for a little squeeze in this Lime Rush 2022 4runner TRD Pro. Such an iconic vehicle for sure, and I love the way that each year Toyota brings out a new color. Now, remember, this color is not the same as the Tacoma TRD Pro with electric lime. That's a totally different color. When you compare it to the Bronco, you can't get a lime green color on the Bronco. You can now get eruption green, which is a pretty cool color. But it's surprising, it's ironic that pricing is very similar. And I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, rip off the Band-Aid. I want to know about pricing. I'm looking at both of these vehicles. I didn't want a Jeep, but I like a four-door Bronco, but I also like this vehicle. I'm kind of old school, but how much is the price? So MSRP for this Lime Rush TRD Pro 4runner is going to be right around $55,000. Here's the ironic thing. It's like serendipity. The Bronco, even though it's not meant to technically go up head-to-head with this vehicle, if you get a Wild Track four-door, and if you get it pretty much closely optioned, you're going to be very similar in price. It's around $56,000 in price. Now, of course, because the Bronco goes up against the Wrangler, there's a lot more options and a lot more ways to personalize it. But you know what? Toyota's got some pretty good taste with the way that they optioned this one, especially with the wheels and that roof rack system. But why don't we go ahead, let's see what you get for the money and which way you should go to the door panels. Now, one of the zonks for the 4runner TRD Pro is there's lots of different finishes in here. Up top, you got that hard black plastic, which is good because it doesn't, show fingerprints, but it just looks a little weird compared to the metallic gloss black that is right underneath it. Then you have some chrome on the door handle. I do like the TRD Pro red stitching, and they give you a French fry tray right in the center. So as you're going to Checkers, you can get those golden brown, really golden brown compared to Mickey D's or Burger King fries. Put two larges there. In the door pocket, though, you're not going to be able to get a Mother Cruncher or a Big Buford. At most, maybe a double bacon cheeseburger and a banana shake nicely put in that cup holder to wash it down. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, hard plastic, but you know what? You get the hard plastic also in the Bronco. I do like this aluminum finish. I wish they would have used this a little bit more throughout the interior. As we get to the center stack, I hope you're all about old school because this is as old school as it gets in 2022. We got our Casio LED light, easy to use, but it is dated. We have an 8-inch infotainment system. Now, this is not the updated system in the new Tundra, so no My Toyota or anything like that, but you do have navigation. It is a touchscreen, of course, and you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. If you compare it to the Bronco's got that 12-inch system with Sync 4 and all of the wireless connectivity and different things that you could do through the system. Now, backup camera, we do have a 360. You do have your trajectory. As you can see, it's just very grainy. But you can switch. If you don't want the 360 to show up, you can switch very easily, put it back into park. You got a start-stop button, the largest AC knobs in the history of the automobile. If you can't use these properly, turn over your driver's license because you should not be driving, but it's dual climate. And I do like the way the blue LED matches the Casio clock up top. You got a Mentos tray down here because a lot of times when you're off-roading, people love Funyuns. What they don't love is the bad breath you get from Funyuns. So keep some Mentos there, USB-A, 12 volt, and you have, of course, a Tootsie Roll tray down here. Maybe even some Tootsie Pops. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? Guess what? If you see an owl on your journeys, ask them because I'm dying to know. This has the old school way of going in through your 4x4 system. Obviously, with the Bronco, you just push a button. This, you got the nice manual lever, gives it that classic look. We got two cup holders. Now, what's interesting is that if you have a bunch of friends that like to backwash, what's great is have them keep their drink here, you keep your drink there. And then hopefully they won't be backwashing into your drink. We got the older key fob. It's been around since 1989, but it still works fine. It's nice and light. This is going to control that 5-speed automatic with the TRD badge. The metallic silver is fine, but like I said, lots of different finishes. Faux carbon fiber, silver, gloss black, dark metallic gray. You do, of course, have your heated seats and the switch gear to raise and lower the rear glass. And then armrest. Nice soft material with the red stitching. Open this up. There is a 12 volt, and you could put a pair of punching gloves in there. Now, the reason why you want the punching gloves is that if your friend still can't identify which is their drink and they grab yours and backwash into your favorite root beer, put on the gloves and just knock them out. Boom. Seats, though, pretty good as a knockout. You got that red TRD stitching. Some people, depending on their body type, don't like the way that they slide around the seat, which could be an issue when you're off-roading. Electric assist for the passenger, electric assist for the driver. You do have a standard sunroof. And instead of like electronic modes, like you look at the Bronco, you have 8 different modes with the GOAT mode selector knob. This, you don't get that. But what do you get? You get that great Toyota rock crawl system. All adjustable from low, medium to high. Right here near the top, we also can lock the diff, shut off the traction control, and you can even program some items into the switch gear up top. The other zonk is I'm not digging the beige headliner. It reminds me of a Toyota Corolla from 1991. Would have been nice to just have that black. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this TRD Pro version of the 4runner. All right, guys, business time. Now, one thing that you do get with the 4runner TRD Pro are these all-weather floor mats, and you can get those as an option when you buy a Bronco. Those are worth an extra 5 horsepower because of that red Pro lettering there. You do have your seat controls, easy to get to with the lower lumbar. And then room. I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of space in here. Older style steering wheel. It is nicely, displayed with the leather, 2-piece perforated and the solid leather. You do have the flat black buttons. There's more of that metallic gloss black. It is manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And if you want a digital gauge display, all you're going to get is a 4.2-inch display. It is color, and the rest is all going to be analog. I do like the look of the analog gauges, and it gives you plenty of information in the center. You don't need anything else. But if you want more, the Bronco does bring more in that digital gauge cluster. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see how this stacks up against the mighty Bronco. Guys, mid-road time. This is where the 4runner TRD Pro is going to have more room for your passengers in the back seat. I kind of like the way I'm sitting up a little high, and they carve out the headliner because it allows me to see past the headrests of the seats in front of me. Lets me know what the heck is going on while we're bouncing around. Backs of the seats, that soft text material. You do have pockets. I like the way they're lined with the soft text up top, but I'm not digging this cargo net junk. I'm gonna zonk that. You put a pancake or two in here, and it's gonna leave that indentation on your pancakes. And you know what? What better way to enjoy some off-roading than to have some pancakes with some syrup in the back seat. AC vents are in the rear of the center console area, and you do have 2 USB-A's on the bottom. Plus we have our all-weather protection. Plenty of, like I said, room. Seats feel pretty comfy. You do get a massive, and look at this thing, it's like a trampoline with 2 cup holders for the armrest. Now, supposedly, there's 40 inches of cargo space back there with these seats up, and over 80 inches of cargo space with the seats down. The Bronco doesn't have that. Let's go ahead and find out if it's true in the back of our 4runner TRD Pro. All right, guys, tailgate time. Now remember, this has that power sliding window. That's a plus over the Bronco. You're gonna hit the button. No electric assist, but that's okay. What are you greeted to? You're greeted to a large volume of space. Not only space, but you got storage areas on top of the fenders here in the plastic compartments. On both sides, you got the JBL thump-a-thump-thump subwoofer. You got a home power source and a 12 volt, which is really nice for when you're going camping. One of my favorite things, besides being able to fold down the seats and just maximize our space, this one has the sliding cargo floor. Look at this. Slides out. Think about it. You're at Costco. You got those large bottles of water. Maybe you go to Home Depot and you buy a couple toilets you need to replace because you blew out an O-ring the last time you used one. You destroyed the toilet. You don't have to do one of these things. Watch. Trying to get to it. What's nice is you just do this and it can support up to 400 pounds. And no, I'm not 400 pounds, but I'm close. 400 pounds of muscle. but nice to have that flexibility. Definitely a lot more room than the Bronco, but you know what? If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and do a little on throttle and driving action in our 4Runner TRD Pro. All right, guys, we're gonna start off in this 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro on the highway to kind of showcase what it's gonna be like driving it on a regular basis, because unless you live out in the woods, this is how a lot of your driving is gonna be. Now, the one thing to point out is that the Bronco Wild Track definitely drives smoother down the road. This feels a little bit more Jeep Wrangler truckish with a harsher, bouncier ride than the Bronco. You're gonna notice a ton of wind noise, and that's not from the sunroof, that's from that tubular rack up top, which, remember, that's the downside. You have the usability of getting things up there, but the downside is that it does create some wind drag and turbulence, and it does make that noise. But visibility is fantastic, and it's nice to finally have a little bit more tech in here, especially with this 8-inch infotainment system screen. It gets the job done. There's plenty there. You got tons of storage, which is important when you're driving. And this is something that if my dad or mom was picking me up from school in a vehicle that looked like this, I think a lot of my friends would think that I was the coolest, because not only the color, but just the way that it looks so aggressive and ready for that zombie apocalypse. You could hear the V6 naturally aspirated power, especially with that TRD catback exhaust. Gives it just enough tone to where you're not gonna wish that you had earplugs. So I wouldn't want it any louder, and it's not obnoxious, and it gives a great sound. But very, very solid, obviously, in the way it drives and the way it feels, and definitely shows how this vehicle has evolved over time. But side mirrors are great, and then you got tons of space back there to do your Costco run, go to Sam's Club. Maybe you need to help somebody move. You definitely could get some things back. Guys, I'm gonna come to a complete stop. Nobody is behind us, and we're gonna go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. You're definitely gonna get smoke checked by the Bronco. To be honest with you though, the 5-speed automatic does a good job shifting through the gears. It would be nice if it was a 6-speed or an 8-speed, because it would probably help with fuel economy. But definitely this vehicle has a true analog feel, and I actually like it. I think that all the stuff that a lot of people say makes it dated, I think gives it a ton of character. I just want some of those vents up front, especially the one on the hood, to be functional. But seats to my body type are comfy. I know that other people have ridden with me in the 4Runner TRD Pro, and they kind of slid around a little bit, and I can understand how that would make them feel, especially when you are off-roading. But the ride is smooth, and it's one of those vehicles that it's gonna be able to take you anywhere, and it's gonna last forever. All right, guys, here we go, pulling away from this light. Nice throttle sensitivity, good weight in the steering. On throttle, drops down, and we're going. Very responsive transmission. But you're gonna hear more road noise as you go faster from those Nitto off-road tires, but that's the compromise you're making. You gotta give a little to get in other areas, and what's gonna happen is, in that normal driving, is where you're gonna hear a little bit more road noise. But to me, I'm fine with it because I understand what this vehicle is all about. All right, guys, I wanted to showcase a little bit of the off-road capability, just scratching the surface here, but just to say that we did it. I'm gonna go ahead and put into 4 high with the manual shift lever for that. And then we're in neutral right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into drive, and we are off and running here as we go down this dirty, sandy area. And this is where, like I said, the 4Runner TRD Pro really earns its keep. over the ruts, over the bumps. We got that skid plate protection. And this is just child's play for this thing. You know, you could rock crawl, you could go really just about anywhere, especially with the amount of ground clearance that you do have. You know, navigating it even through tight quarters is actually really easy with the great visibility that you have. You see the bulge in that hood, and even though it's not functional, you feel like you're definitely in something that really can go through just about anything when it comes to that off-road terrain action. But I'm just glad that we were able to bring you just a little bit of off-roading just to showcase what this thing is capable of. I mean, I'm gonna stop in this sandy rut area. I mean, you're not getting stuck in this thing. I mean, it's that freaking good. But hopefully this kind of showcase how the TRD Off-Road Pro is all about for the 4Runner. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. Guys, it's been one heck of an off-roading, dirty kind of day here on Raiti's Rides. Definitely want to thank the whole Toyota USA team for allowing Raiti's Rides access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Which way are you gonna spend your money? Are you going with the more tried and true setup that's been around for a while with the 4Runner TRD Pro? Or are you gonna go with the newer, more popular Bronco Wild Track? It's gonna be interesting to see how the Bronco does over time. Definitely, these things hold their value like none other, even before the crazy pricing before the pandemic. So one thing to keep in mind, but if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. We gotta give it up to the Rock. She brings the rock, I bring the roll. That's how we make this work. Thank you, Lori, for doing all that you do. Show her some love in that comment section. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.